Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the court case and also my thoughts and theories on the Chelsea Davy situation. And also, I found a little tiny connection with Elton, and I have a theory. So if you'd like to know what this theory is, then sit back, relax, grab your drink of choice, whether it be tea, whether it be coffee, whether it be a cherries and berries, and you can skip this part if you really want to. Whether you are sitting in the garden or you're on holiday, wherever you are, maybe you want to add a little something to that drink of choice, because as the flag says behind me, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. So grab your drink, let's dive right in. So please bear with me, because every now and again I will be fanning myself due to the fact that we have just the hottest weather at the minute, and we're so British, complaining. It's like if it's too cold we complain, if it's too hot we complain. So yeah, a lot of complaining from us Brits. So yes, this court case. I mean, I think by now we can all agree, unless you are part of the cult squad, that Harry has made an absolute mess of this. I genuinely believe, to a degree, that he was set up to some degree. And I will explain more why I think this is. Harry is not the brightest bulb at all. And although he knows this, and the reason I say he knows this is because he does mention quite a few times, not just in the court case, but he's mentioned before that he doesn't want to be seen as dim. Well, the thing with that is that you genuinely are seen as that way if you act that way, because you very rarely get someone who comes across intelligent being told that they're dim, unless it's from somebody that maybe is experiencing a bit of jealousy. So yeah, so I do think that Harry is aware that he's not particularly intelligent, and he just wants to have this narrative changed. And the thing is with the media is, I have always said this, this is never about security, this is never about the phone hacking, this is simply due to the fact that he didn't want any of the negative press being, his negative behaviour being exposed. He blames literally everybody in this court case, aside from any introspection where he's actually looked at himself and gone, you know what, actually I can't blame somebody for wearing a Nazi uniform. I can't blame somebody for going into strip clubs when I was with Chelsea Davy. I can't blame somebody for being unfaithful. I can't blame somebody for any of the behaviour that I have shown. He wants to blame other people because he doesn't want to take accountability. Because if you take accountability, then that means you have to really look at that and kind of go, you know what, actually it's my fault. And I think this does stem right the way back to his mother. And now I know you're probably going to raise your eyes and be like, oh, you know, his mum. And I do get that, but hear me out. I think Harry is a very angry person. Now, do I think that he misses his mum? Sure, of course, that's natural. Of course, he's going to miss his mum. Do I think that he's got feelings around what happened to his mum? Of course, absolutely. But do I think they are what he's telling us? No, I don't. Harry has shown he has got very little respect for women. And what that tells you, most of the time when a man doesn't have respect for women, is that a lot of the time that goes back to the mother. So this potentially tells us that Harry doesn't have a lot of respect for his mum. And the reason I believe this is because I think this jealousy that he's got with William is because William was, in a way, his mum's confidant, almost best friend. Is this inappropriate? Absolutely. William was very young. She shouldn't have put that responsibility on him, but she did. And I think the jealousy stems a lot from the way Harry viewed their relationship. I also think that he's probably very angry at his mum, not just for the fact that she passed away, and this is common with a lot of people. They can feel very angry about the situation, even if they believe that it wasn't their fault. But I think there would be an element of anger in regards to the fact that when she called, he wasn't available. He was playing a game and he didn't want to come to the phone. So he's probably got an element of guilt and anger around that. He's also probably got a lot of anger in the way that his mum behaved. He would be very angry at the fact that she probably confided in William a lot and didn't confide in him. I mean, to be fair, you know, he was 12 years old. So William was that bit older. But this anger is there. And this would then coincide with how he then treated other women. So you have lots of rumours that come out about he was unfaithful, he was a player. You know, he's even admitted in his book plying women with drink and sleeping with them. The way he spoke about this particular person that he supposedly lost his virginity to, very disrespectful. The fact that he's brought up Chelsea Davy 118 times and Meghan like 5 times. So I think this anger that he has goes right the way back. I think the jealousy in regards to his brother goes right the way back. And I think this is, in his mind, it's almost as if he probably believes that his brother has got everything. His brother not only had his mother, his brother has his father, his brother looks like his mother, which is why he attacked his brother's looks and the fact that he's looking less and less like my mother, which actually, if you look at William, he looks very, very much like Diana, even the mannerisms. He's got what attains to be the perfect relationship in his eyes. He's got this perfect family. He's the future king of a country. So in his mind, he's got everything. And now to somebody like Harry, who, this isn't just when Meghan come along. I think Meghan fueled what was already there, because you don't just conjure up something. You know, if there was no jealousy, if there was absolutely nothing, he was really close to his brother, and there was nothing going on underneath, the chances are Meghan wouldn't have been able to manipulate a situation to create it to be worse. What I would say is this was bubbling away under the surface. It probably come out in certain areas, but he did love his brother. I just think Harry is very emotionally stunted. Like I said, I believe he's got arrested development. And I think a lot of this anger was kind of hidden underneath. It probably come out in the way he acted, like he was very off the rails on occasion. So with somebody like Harry, he would need to have a purpose, a focus, which is why I think that when he was around, like in Africa, and he was doing things that he was particularly passionate about, then you would see a different side to Harry. You would see probably a lovelier side to Harry. And I think that when he got with Chelsea Davy, who I believe is and was the love of his life, or was and is the love of his life, he was starting to probably try to change, because she was obviously somebody that he did want to be serious with. He did love her in his own way. But I think what started to, by the looks of it, what happened is he was caught in strip clubs. His old ways were starting to come through, because somebody like Harry would get bored. So even though he would want stability, he craves what his brother has. Because he's emotionally inept to do it, it would mean that he would do it for a little while and then he would get bored, and then his old behavior would come back again. And this is the same for anybody. If you haven't worked on any of those issues that you have in regards to relationships, or how you view a healthy relationship, this is why you find that when somebody that has come from, say, a toxic environment, or an environment that's very it's filled with drama, there's always chaos. When they find somebody that's quite stable, quite normal, if they haven't worked on those things, it'll be great initially, and you'll be like, this is exactly what I want. It's completely opposite to what I've had. But after a while, you will actually crave the drama. So you will then create drama. You will search for drama. And that's why you find that people go, I can't be with a nice person because they're boring. They're not boring, they're just healthy. And you're not used to healthy. So that's why it's really important that you take your time in getting into a relationship. So what I would imagine with Chelsea Davy is that he did genuinely have really, really strong feelings for her, but because he was, his behavior was very brat-like, very entitled, that side of him would start to seep back through, which is why you see him acting out, doing the craziness. Now, unless you're with somebody that kind of matches that crazy, you crave it. And so I think towards the end, Chelsea probably got really sick of his crazy. And even though in the media, it's been stated that she was very tired of the media intrusion, I would probably guess, because she was with him, 6-7 years? That's a long time to suddenly then decide that I don't really like the royal life. So what I would guess is that in the beginning, when there wasn't so much media intrusion, is because Harry wasn't really doing anything. So their relationship was fairly normal-ish. They were getting papped, but it wasn't crazy after the initial period died down. Harry starts then acting out and starts misbehaving. And of course, what happens then is the media are going to report on this. So when he's doing things that are wrong, and let's be clear here, this is Harry doing things that are wrong, because if you're not doing anything, there's nothing to report. They're not going to report, oh, Harry's just nipped to the shops. Well, they might, but it's not, you're not going to get hundreds of paps reporting on it, or it's plastered over the front page of every newspaper. But Harry wearing a Nazi uniform, or Harry doing strip billiards or strip poker or snorting cocaine or whatever it is, of course that's going to make the front page news. Of course it is. He doesn't get to decide when to cherry pick what he utilises the media for. That is part of being the royal family. The unfortunate thing is he was born into this royal family, and what comes with that is a responsibility. So it's your job. This is no different if you were employed somewhere and you acted out. We've seen more often than not, a lot of people are fired because they're doing something and it's been put on social media because you represent the company you work for. Harry represents the royal family. So if you're doing something that goes against what the royal family is supposed to stand for, then of course the media are going to print it because they want the public to know. Harry doesn't like that. So Harry wants all the adulation. He wants all the great stuff, like when things have been highlighted, like when he was doing the book tour, when they're out doing their 5-minute charity events. Oh, they're happy for the media to be there then. They're happy for the media to report on him dating Meghan, who, let's be clear, wanted that to come out. That's okay when they're sitting doing an interview, an engagement interview. Oh, that's okay for that to be reported. All the adulation that she got in the beginning. Oh, that was okay. The wedding, the big spectacle that was for the world. Oh, but that's okay to be reported on. But what Harry and Meghan don't want is that they don't want any of the secrets, the lies, the toxic behaviour. That's what they don't want reported. And to be fair, nobody would. All celebrities, I'm sure, are like that. Harry is not exclusive in that department. However, what you don't get to do is cry about it. What you don't get to do is decide that actually, do you know what, I can utilise the press when I want to, but actually when they're reporting things that I don't want, oh, we're gonna ban that. You don't get to cherry pick. And unfortunately, his mother was just as bad. His mother knew how to court the press. The difference being with his mum is that there was a genuineness with his mum. She genuinely, I believe, loved people. She wanted to help people. You could see that when she visited places, a lot of times she would get very cross with the press intrusion. She would be very thoughtful, very kind. And I think that is why, even though she did get this horrendous amount of press intrusion, she was still very much loved and forgiven for a lot of the behaviour. And let's also look at the fact that so was Harry. When Harry was a member of the royal family before Meghan, he got up to the most horrendous things that perhaps if it had been anybody else would have been hung, drawn and quartered. But Harry was kind of like, oh, it's just Harry. He's the lovable rogue. He's the rogue prince. Oh, it's okay. William didn't have that luxury. William was the future king. So it was almost like he had to behave. He had to do those things. And of course, I'm sure there were, of course he didn't. There was pictures of him drunk in a nightclub or doing, the whole thing, like, let's say with Catherine, like, make it, in the media's eyes, making Catherine wait, albeit that I think that was quite sensible. There was a lot going on. It wasn't just Harry that had this press intrusion, and obviously also Catherine and William were hacked. They settled with the at the time when it happened. They were also, there was topless photographs of Catherine. It's like, it was pretty horrendous. But the way William behaves, it's like he's the only one. And this is why, when it comes back to Chelsea, the fact that he's mentioned her 118 times and he's mentioned Meghan 5 times, this would be, now people have said Meghan wouldn't care. Trust me, Meghan will care. Not because she loves Harry, but because in her eyes, Harry has humiliated her. So this is why I think when this initially come out, why she did the pap walk, why she was not wearing her engagement ring, I think there was, they play, people like that play games with each other. So I think this is why this is kind of happening. I've said before, and I will say it again, these two are not together. I think they come together when they absolutely have to. I do think that she has got probably somebody behind the scenes. I think that's why on that pap walk she reeled out Marcus Anderson, because I absolutely can bet you that Marcus Anderson and her have got something on Harry. And so with Harry seeing that in the paper, that would make him think, oh crap. There's a reason why she suddenly reeled him out publicly, Marcus Anderson, because we've not seen them together. We've not seen them together. Suddenly they're out on this alleged hike, which we know wasn't. She's with him. Harry would have seen that because it come out in the papers, literally. So he would know. He would know that something's going on. And then all of a sudden, then he's there at this ridiculous award for Hertz car hire. I know it's not that, but it's funny. And Marcus Anderson was there as well. So there is something going on behind the scenes. And I think what she's done is potentially reeled Harry back in again. I think then they created this fake car chase. Now, do I think Harry was in on it? I actually don't, because looking at his face when he was, like, people have said, oh, it's footage for them. And yes, I mean, I do think he probably would use that, but he looked very stressed, actually. And you could tell by the photograph that it was almost like this was a normal photograph. He looked fed up. He looked stressed. She didn't. So I would say that, yes, she tipped off the press. And then it all kind of went wrong from there. But I genuinely believe, and that's probably why they drove around for 2 hours, is probably because they're both staying in separate places. She's probably staying somewhere with Marcus Anderson and he's probably somewhere, and they didn't want that to be exposed. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so going back to Chelsea is the love of his life. This is why he's brought her up. You don't do that if you are happily married, as they are trying to lead us to believe. If you are happily married, you do not mention your ex 118 times. He got emotional talking about her. He blames the press intrusion for the fact that they broke up. But what I would guess is that it's Harry's behaviour that created the breakup. She got to a point where she was sick of it. But the press intrusion that come from Harry's misbehaving was too much. So in Harry's eyes, a bit like how Meghan has done this, blames the press because he has no introspection. He doesn't look at his own behaviour. He doesn't take accountability for anything. So it's like, oh, it's the media's fault. If they hadn't have hounded us, we'd still be together. That's literally what he stated, that he believed they would still be together. Who says that when you're supposedly happily married with 2 children? The other thing, is the fact that what I was told, and there's this really great, if you're on TikTok, you might not be, but if you are, check this person out. They have lots of great information. There's 2 that I follow, actually, and I put them both up here. And I got this information from them. And there is this connection with Elton John. Now, Harry supposedly says in his witness statement that he was holidaying with Meghan at Elton John's place with his husband, and they just happened to bump into this high-profile barrister. In his book, however, and I just want to make sure that I get this correct before... So Harry admits that he didn't think about suing till 2018 when he and his wife were holidaying with Elton John in France, where they happened to bump into a high-profile barrister. He also admits he started this due to the press intrusion to his wife. So hang on a minute. So which is it, Harry? So is this your lifelong ambition to curb the wrongs of the media because of your mother? Or is this actually now to do with, because it seems weird that it's now suddenly changed. So this creates me to think that has something been said, excuse me, hot flush. Can't decide whether this is a hot flush or whether it's just because it's so hot here. Or this is suddenly now that he's maybe back in the folds with Meghan again. And she's kind of, you've got to mention me. So he says, the woman who's done this, her name is Royal T, and she's on TikTok. She's very good. So Harry seems to get a bit confused as to when this meeting of the barrister took place. He states in court it was around 2018, yet public evidence state it was 2019, but somehow Harry can't remember. There's two, so he's got it wrong. Now, okay, we could argue the fact that maybe in his confusion, because Harry seems to get confused quite a lot, that he got the year wrong. But you've got to bear in mind that this is a court statement. A court statement. So he says it was a chance meeting they just bumped into, but yet in his book he clearly states this top barrister was at Elton's and was introduced to them. So this wasn't a chance meeting. He was there, which tells me this was orchestrated. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Apparently, Harry says to him, I wish there was something we could do. And this barrister tells him, well, there is a workaround. You just hire your own lawyer. Harry states he'd never thought of that. Now, okay, Harry isn't particularly bright, but you're telling me that if this was something that he's always wanted to do, that he hasn't got the means to think, I could hire my own lawyer. Okay, so fair enough. Maybe not, because like I say, he's not very bright. But what's interesting is the lawyer in the Mock You series, the lawyer that come out in defense of Meghan and Harry, and I'll put a picture up here, happens to be the very same lawyer who lost Elton John his 4-month legal battle for privacy against him settling a sexual harassment case. So what this tells me is this was set up. Now, we all know that Meghan is behind the scenes in a lot of this. I'm not saying that all of it. I do think she's there behind the scenes. But we've often stated that there seems to be a bigger play here. And I think Harry is actually being also used by Elton John. Now, please don't shoot the messenger, because I appreciate that maybe some of you are huge Elton fans. I get that. But this was set up. He actually states in his book that the barrister was there. This wasn't where they would just happen to bump into them, which is what he made it seem in his statement, that he was there. Elton has already lost a case for privacy. And I believe that it's possible that they wanted this case to be huge. I think they believe that if this could be so big, that it would get so much media attention, that it's possible this case could then be won. And who better to do that than dimwit Harry, who's got such paranoia when it comes to the media. So I think this was orchestrated. It's almost like the seed was planted and Harry was like, ooh, maybe we can use that. And it's very possible, with now a connection with Meghan, was something being discussed behind the scenes? Was Meghan and Elton having a conversation? Now, again, this is allegedly, but could this be that there was something going on behind the scenes where it was like, oh, you know, we could use Harry to make it more high profile, bring in his mother again, and maybe we could win this privacy case, you know, against this phone hacking. Because the thing is, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with phone hacking. But the bottom line is, if you're being hacked and things, say, that are deeply private are being exposed, that are very private things, then of course. But if you are doing something wrong, you're doing something illegal, you're doing something that if people knew about it, you would be ashamed, or you wouldn't do if somebody knew about it, then that's also on you for doing it in the first place. And then it just so happens that your phone has been hacked and it's been exposed. So I think a lot of this is down to this embarrassment. And what's interesting, like I say, is the fact that there's a sexual harassment case that Elton John lost because he settled out of court, and he wanted it kept private, and they basically said no. So they're kind of all, this seediness is all interlinked together. And so I think that there's something else going on here. And I think Dimwit Harry was used, because what you've also got to look at is why his barrister has done nothing. It's almost as if Harry is just the face. They've used Harry as the face of this to get all this recognition, but they've done absolutely nothing. He's literally looked ridiculous. He's come with no evidence. He's openly admitted this was a lot of it's speculation. His book doesn't add up to his court statement. He's thrown his mum under the bus, admitting that his mum had an affair 2 years after he was born. So this was before the legal separation. So in a way, throwing his mum under the bus, talking about an affair that she had. So she was, even though we knew that Diana was unfaithful, but he's openly admitted in a court of law that his mother was unfaithful to his father. So there are just so many things that don't add up here. But what does add up is that the fact that Harry is just coming across completely unprepared, completely clueless. I genuinely think that he's a puppet. I've said this all along. I think he's a puppet for other people, that more nefarious people that are doing things, and they are using him. Meghan being one of them, and I now think Elton is part of this as well. He was asked also by the judge when the birth dates of his children were. He couldn't answer. How do you not know the birth date of your own children? Alleged children, should I just say. He also states he was an underage drinker only because the media said he was. Not that he was, and he's admitted to drinking underage, but because the media said it. The more this goes on, the more this man looks deeply unwell. The things that he has stated, like he stated he wasn't able to walk down the street. And of course, there's copious amounts of pictures. This is a bit like I never rode a bike when I was a kid, and then all these pictures surfaced of him riding a bike with his father when he was a kid. There's loads of pictures that have come out of him walking down the street. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Whether or not Harry is still taking drugs, I genuinely don't know. But to me, something is definitely off with the way that he's this almost like compulsive lying. Like he's lying without even thinking about it, and not even thinking the fact that There is everything on social media, everything online that can be debunked. Like in the Oprah interview, all the lies that were told, debunked. Harry thinks that possibly this is all about the court of public opinion, but unfortunately, the only people that are ever going to side with Harry are the people that are the sugars anyway. So they're going to side with him anyway, no matter what. Like I said, you know, they could literally commit the most heinous crime, and the cult squad would still be like, oh, do you know, it's perfectly understandable because his mum died when he was 13. It's like they use this as a reason behind why that he does what he does. You know, stop. I mean, not that I think they're going to watch this video, but they need to stop enabling his behaviour and hers as well. Because like I've always said, William lost his mother. He was 15. So not only did he lose his mother, he also then turned into caretaker for Harry. He looked after Harry. You know, he took on that role of looking after his brother. So not only was he dealing with his own grief of losing his mother at 15 years of age, a woman that had become almost like his best friend, and even if it was unhealthy, he was her confidant. He lost that. And then had to then go into the role of looking after his brother, knowing also that he's the future king of a country. But nobody talks about that, you know. So it's always, oh, how sad it is for Harry. Yeah, of course it's sad. But that's not an excuse. It is not an excuse. It doesn't enable behaviour. You don't get a free pass on behaving despicably, just because you've had something bad happen to you. You don't get a free pass. You still have to be held accountable. Doesn't matter who you are. If you are doing something wrong, you don't get to say, well, it's because of this. Well, okay, you do get to say that if you choose to say that, but you still get to be held accountable. It's like, okay, I get that maybe this is why you've done that, but we still need to have a talk about that. We still have to make sure that doesn't happen again. It isn't like, oh yeah, you know what, you can treat me really badly because this happened. It's like, okay, you get this one time, I'm going to accept your reason, but if this happens again, we're going to have a problem. You know, we've got to talk about this. You cannot behave that way. But the thing is, nobody is doing this. Well, I think they're doing it now, and this is why we're getting what we're getting, because I think Harry is getting told no. Harry is getting told, you know, yeah, you don't get to just do what you want and treat us like the way you have and then come back into the fold. You don't get all the money. You don't get, you know, and now he's gone after the government, saying the government's ridiculous. I wonder, and I have said this before, that it's gone to the second reading of the titles being removed, and I wonder if there are rumblings behind the scene of this is going to happen, because it seems very bizarre to me that Harry has gone after the government, the British government. You're pretty silly to do that, knowing that they are responsible for you keeping your titles. So I'm wondering if there is something going on behind the scenes. And Harry knows this, because we know that they're very capable, and what they do is that anyone that slights them, they go on the attack. Meghan does it, Harry's doing it. So, yeah. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Is there anything else that you would like me to talk about in regards to this debacle, as I call it? Yeah, let me know. My birthday is tomorrow, so I will be back on Friday doing a video on Friday. I'm going to be in London tomorrow. I am going to be filming some of my day. We went to Arundel Castle last week. I have filmed a half-hour video of Arundel Castle. For those of you, I know that probably most British people are like, oh, don't want to see another castle. But for the Americans, Australians, Canadians, whoever, you know, people that haven't seen a British castle, I have filmed that for you. And I will be putting that up this week as well. So you have that video to look at as well. But I will be back on Friday. I'm going to do another video on Friday. I'm hopefully going to have my son on the video with me, so he's going to come and say hi. He goes home on Monday. That is not going to be a happy day for me. But I'm not going to think about that. I've got my birthday tomorrow, and then I've got a little birthday barbecue on Saturday. So I'm really excited about that. I've had some cards coming through already. So I'm going to open those all tomorrow. So thank you so much to everybody who sent me something, whether it be a comment, whether it be an email. And like I say, after when everything's calmed down, I will be going in and answering all of the emails that I've received. I will be sending you a little thank you for doing that, because I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's bought me a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or become a Patreon, or you've become a member. I know I am rubbish at putting the members up on here, and I will do it. I will do it, I promise. So if you haven't seen your name go up, it will go up next week. I promise it's going up. And yeah, so that's it from me. So I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss future uploads. I apologise for the fact I haven't done many videos on my therapy channel. Once my son has gone, I will be back to normal. It's just that I've been taking some time out to obviously be with him. But yeah. And that's it. So have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever you're doing. And as always, please remember that I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.